All right, welcome inside a place at the Meadowlands that you've probably never been. This is back near the back paddock. We are actually in the judge's office here in the race office. We're at the Meadowlands. I'm Justin Horowitz with Meadowlands Race Secretary Pete Koch and presiding judge John Tomasello. We're back to racing coming up this Saturday night, the first night of our fall-winter season. Post time 7:15. It's also Breeders' Cup Day, so come on all day long, bet the thoroughbreds, and then stay late for our harness program, highlighted by 4 finals in the kindergarten series for 2-year-olds. And we are going to bring you the live post position draw here for the richest of the 4 finals. It's the 2-year-old Colt Trot. And first, Pete, explain to us how this draw works. I know a lot of horsemen obviously are familiar with how this process works, but for fans watching that have never been in the race office or never really understood how exactly the races are put together that we then bet on the program, give us an idea of this process that has already been going on for a few hours this morning.
Okay, well, the kindergarten series has 5 legs, and which started here at the Meadowlands, and horses accumulate points in those legs. And then they race in the highest point earners, and the horses who raced in the most legs have preference for the final. So we had 14 horses enter, and there's 2 horses that are going to be also eligible, and they had only raced in 1 leg. So Fashion Woodchopper, who won his leg, but unfortunately he didn't race in another leg, he's going to be AE, and Glider Man will also be AE. And then the other 10 horses will draw an open draw, except the rules of the stakes say that the horse who has the most points, he draws 1 through 6. So we're going to start off with that. I have the 6 pills in here. So the worst, it's to reward the horse who did the best during the series, so that he's not going to draw 7, 8, 9, or 10. So after we draw that one, then we'll put all the pills in, and the rest is an open draw.
Okay, so when you say pills, I don't even know if some people show us what a pill looks like. That's kind of how this works. So it's literally just like a little ball type thing.
Right, they're almost like little cue balls, just whatever. And they each have a number on them, and the 9 it's written out, so there isn't any confusion with the 6. So it's just by lot. They we put them in the pill bottle here, shake them up, and however they come out. And some people are happy, some people aren't.
Okay, so the horse we're talking about, that is the highest point earner, is Farsetti Hanover, is trained by Irv Miller, Marcus Miller. This is the only horse that actually started in all 5 legs of the series. He was a winner on September 8th here, and remember, he was 3rd in the Houghton on Hambletonian Day. So he's the highest point earner. He will draw posts 1 through 6, so you will shake up the numbers and pull out his post position.
Okay, so Farsetti Hanover will be number 1.
Okay, so Farsetti Hanover is drawn post 1, and that's marked down on his entry sheet by John Tomasello. Now, the other 9 horses that are in the stake, they will be drawing for posts now 2 through 10. And so they will just pull a name out of the bin, and then you will pull out the number that will correspond to the post position.
Just to give people, these horses, they either call the racing office, the trainer calls with the entry, or there's an online system. They can enter them onto the USTA system, and all the horses had to be entered by 9 o'clock. So these horses were entered this morning, and now we're going to draw them.
Okay, and that process is repeated for all the races, but we are specifically looking at the 2-year-old Colt Trot in the kindergarten final. So post 8 will go to Help Is On The Way, who is a Linda Toscano son of Chapter 7.
5.
Post 5 will go to Tito, another Irv Miller trainee. He won the final preliminary leg of this series last Thursday at Vernon Downs.
3.
Post 3 will go to Final Dream, trained by Oki Svanstead. Brett Miller is listed to drive.
6.
Post 6 will go to Dawson Springs, who was 6th in the Breeders' Crown just on Saturday night for Tony Alagna and Joe Bongiorno.
2.
Post 2 goes to Meadow Branch Ricky for Jenny Melander. Tim Tetrick named on this one. He's named on several in the final here.
10.
Post 10 goes to Glide in the Wind, trained by Lucas Wallen, just 1 for 7, won a Stallion Series race at Harrah's, Philadelphia earlier this summer.
9.
Post 9 will go to Linda Toscano's 7-iron, the second leading point earner in the field. Tim Tetrick also listed to drive.
4.
Post 4 goes to the Swedish-bred son of Maharaja, Midnight Express for Oki Svanstead.
And Lucky 7.
Lucky 7 goes to Lindy's Big Bang, the third most winningest point earner in the series. Nifty Norman and Tim Tetrick once again listed to drive. So just like that, you draw the post positions for a race that will go for $214,900. And when they talk about the luck of the draw, it's literally just as simple as we just witnessed here. So that's the field. We're going to get you that full field so you have the post positions, you have the horses. But Pete, tell us about opening night draw here at the Meadowlands. So we're going to just race one day a week through November. We have stakes just about every weekend leading up to the last Saturday of November, where we have the TVG finals and the fall Final Four for the 2-year-olds. But what is draw morning like here when you get into the race office? What time do you get here? What is your morning like so far?
Well, I get here about 7:30, and then we'll check and see how many horses have already entered. And then the phones will start ringing with the trainers. Some of the trainers still call. They want to make sure. They get a little nervous if the whole online thing works, but it works very well. And hopefully we have enough horses for all the races. And if we don't have enough horses, then we contact trainers and see if they can race their horse here. So usually we're racing Friday and Saturday, so we do a double draw. And so we'll draw both programs, Friday and Saturday's program. But today and for the next 4 weeks, we're just going to be on Saturday nights. So there'll be 13 races this Saturday night, and there's a lot of money on the line. So these 2-year-olds, as you know, you were just out hosting the Breeders' Crown on TVG, an excellent job there.
Well said, Pete.
But anyway, there's still some money on the table left for these horses late in the season. So these kindergarten finals, and the kindergarten is kind of an opportunity for, I'm not saying the second tier, but horses that might not have raced. I mean, there might be horses who finish back in the Breeders' Crown and who are participating in the kindergarten, but after racing in some of these preliminary legs, they're going to go for a lot of money here. So, and then also we have what's called the Final Four, and which these races started out originally at Garden State Park, and now they're here at the Meadowlands. And we've had them for years. They've also taken place in Canada. And those races, the Governor's Cup for the Colt Pacers, the 3 Diamonds for the Philly Pacers, the Valley Victory for the Colt Trotters, and the Goldsmith Made for the Philly Trotters. And they'll be going later on in the month. So if your horse can get good at this time of year and you're in these races, there's this chance to really put some money on their card.
So last year, the kindergarten final, for example, the Colt Trot, a horse named Wallner, who I think people have heard of, he was the winner of the kindergarten by 7 lengths. International Money was also in that field. He made a break and finished last. I don't know if you remember that. I didn't. I had to look it up. But so these are races that maybe for later developing 2-year-olds, but good racing Saturday night. So we know there's going to be 4 finals for the kindergarten series, but the other 9 races on the card. Explain to us how those are put together. How do people know which horses to enter, and how are those races put together before we see them on the program for Saturday night?
Well, last week we published what's called a condition sheet, and that lists all the different races that are available for horses to race in. And the horsemen will check their horses' earnings, and then they'll enter into the appropriate race. And like I said, hopefully we have enough in each one of these races, or we get on the phones and we start calling trainers to put in. So it's there'll be a mixture of other races. We'll have pacing fillies and pacing colts, and we'll have some trotting overnight races. So it'll be a whole mix. It should be a good card, and hopefully we'll have some full fields and lots of betting excitement.
All right, so that's kind of an idea of how the races are put together on a card, and when you have 2 days of racing, it just makes the job twice as difficult and twice as much work when you put them in. Clearly, when you have a lot of stakes races, I would imagine that makes your job a little bit easier because you know that those horses are being entered. There's not as much maneuvering by the race secretary. Kind of explain to us the idea of maneuvering here when you're trying to hustle horses in and you know, getting the most competitive and full fields as you can. That's kind of the idea.
Well, the stake races, basically, we'll make the stake race schedule in the fall of the previous year, and so they are what they are. You know, there's people make payments to go into those races. The overnight races, of which there is no fee, those are the races that we write, and Sometimes you have to combine classes if they're kind of similar ability, and then we'll have the lesser class draw the inside post and the higher class draw the outside posts, and there's different moves you have to make because especially at the Meadowlands, each betting interest means so much, and so the fuller the fields we can get, the better off we are. And, we're just kind of happy to get going again. And, like I said, it'll just be once a week for a month. But there'll be there's some great races during November here.
All right, so that's kind of an idea of how this race office thing works, where we put the races together. Remember, racing comes back to the Meadowlands this Saturday night, first post about 7:15, and we've also got the new Pick 10 Survivor wager, which is going to make its debut. So a quick explanation of the Pick 10 Survivor. Pick the winners of the first 10 races, but the new thing is anyone who doesn't pick the winner in the first race is eliminated, and anyone who does pick the winner will advance to the second race, and so forth until there's only one surviving ticket, and that person will take down the entire pool minus the 15% takeout. So an opportunity for a very large payoff here. It's going to be started at the $10,000 guarantee as part of a program with the United States Trotting Association's strategic wagering program. So get here early. Make sure you put your ticket in before race 1 for the Pick 10 Survivor. Let's take a look now again at the full field for the kindergarten final, the 2-year-old Colt Trot. Remember, we had a field of 10 entered after we had to take out 2 horses and a couple others that were lower down on the point standing. So here is the field. Farsetti Hanover got to draw between posts 1 and 6 as the highest point earner in the series. He drew the rail. He was the leading point earner at 80 points. 7 Iron did not draw as well. He was the second leading point winner for Linda Toscano and Tim Teacher. He was a Grand Circuit winner in Lexington in 55-3. So Dawson Springs comes out of the Breeders' Crown. So again, like we said, this is a race for maybe the later developing 2-year-olds, maybe not the very, very, very top ones that we saw race in the Breeders' Crown, but plenty of talent here. Again, the race was won by Wallner last year, and this will be part of our card on Saturday. And any final thoughts, Pete?
No, we're just excited to be back in action, and it's good to see these 2-year-olds. And like you had said, a couple of horses that raced in this race last year raced in the Hambletonian this year. So there's a chance to see some future superstars.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We will be back with you next Tuesday at this same time. We're going to draw some more races next week, and we'll do this throughout November. Hopefully you enjoyed watching us on Facebook Live. You can come see us at the Meadowlands this Saturday when racing begins. First post is 7:15. And if you really want more J-Ho, this Thursday at 4 o'clock is the debut of the J-Ho Show. We will look at some of these races once they're drawn, maybe pick out some winners, and I'll have a special guest still to be determined. You can watch it all right here on the Meadowlands Facebook page. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon.